Awesome. Well, good. Hello, everyone. So we have some weird thing going on with the screen, but hopefully you can see it well enough. But I will give you my intro first. My name is Daniel Summers, and I'm the CEO and founding partner of Electronic Lab Logs. We actually have all of our offices right down the hall, so we're CIE people for sure. I was asked to come in and just kind of give an update on where we've been, and I was like, man, updates sound a whole lot better than investor pitches and everything else. So this is just kind of low pressure for me. So, but I did want to at least let you guys, like, for those of you who don't know about us, I don't want to assume you know what Electronic Lab Logs is. I did want to at least explain what it is we do. So I'm going to walk you through that real quick. So our tagline over here, helping labs ditch the paper logs. If you're working in a lab, you understand immediately what that is. If you're not, you're like, what is that about? So let me walk through. Hey, can you make that window active so I can put on it? There's that possible.
If you click next.
There we go.
Yeah, there you go.
So this is what I thought the lab looked like before I started this project. The point is, I knew nothing about the lab. I was a software guy, not a product guy. And so I had a friend of a friend who came and explained this crazy situation in the lab. But I didn't even know how they worked or anything about them. So I just kind of envisioned, like, oh yeah, there's a whole bunch of smart people in lab coats and they do a whole bunch of testing and who knows what else goes on behind the scenes, right? And some of that's true. So you have some really cool, like, these guys have lab coats on, right? And there's some really cool testing that happens here. So like this is a Siemens Appio, for example. And I just picked this example really for other reason other than to point out that there are a lot of cool automation lines out there and they do a lot of tests real fast, and those are impressive. But what's crazy is even with something as sophisticated as this analyzer, the Siemens, you walk around the corner and you're going to see a paper log on hanging either on the post there or on the machine where they track, hey, did you run QC? Did you clean the sensors? Did you, clear the trays? Whatever else it is. And with the other side of the lab, there's even more so, right? So all of these labs buy very expensive lab equipment, but all of the maintenance and QC are tracked on paper. So if you think of it like a car rotation, tire rotation in a car or oil change, it's the same type of thing. You have to do it on different schedules in the lab. So like the Sysmex, for example, you can't do patient testing until you do this maintenance test. And so again, how do they do it? They say, yep, I did it every day, but they're tracking it on a paper log. These are real images that we may or may not have taken pictures of from a laboratory in close that are hanging on the side of again, another very expensive piece of equipment. So in the lab, especially to management, it's a costly and painful issue, right? So there's a lot of time wasted. There's a lot of downtime. Because if something goes down or there's a problem with the device, they don't even know about it sometimes because it's all on paper, right? And then the audits are a nightmare. So when they have an audit, they literally go pull from binders, right? And they go and prove that they actually did this stuff. It's crazy, but that's just the way it's always been done. And then the missed and fake logs. I mean, there's that's really the biggest issue in the lab world, is that you have just a lot of misses and a lot of people who would go back and just backfill logs, right? So that's just a really big problem for the lab So what we've done is we created lab logs around that to just solve that solution. So we've created one software platform. I'm not going to take you into a long demo unless you want to see it. You can use somebody like Bruce here. He'll take you through a demo, but I'll spare you. But it does. I will point out a couple of quick slides. I mean, this is just an example of when a user comes into. They log in and we say, oh, cool, here's what to do. Do you want to go ahead and record the temperature for this dry bath? They say, yeah, and they record the temperature. As long as it's in range, you're good to go. Mark is complete, and they move on to the next instrument, right? It's super simple. And then if they're doing this across the whole lab, now they have a complete view of what their analyzers, maintenance and stuff is how it's performing. So if something's down or overdue or needs attention, you would see a little indicator here telling you that. So this is kind of just an overall instrument panel here, showing you the big view. And again, the big win is for especially the big labs, the guys who have like, even like here, luckily New Hanover, who has 10 labs, they don't have to drive across down all the way, it seems like a long way, all the way to Pender, right? Or all the way to Brunswick. They can actually log in our system now and make sure that the maintenance is done. And then the big win again at the end of the month is because these auditors, we know they're coming, we're already pulling all this data in, we're reporting it, and we present all of these monthly reports to the user. They sign off on them every month, right? That's a requirement. But if an auditor comes in, they can pull custom reports. So if you want to say, hey, just show me just one piece of equipment for 60 days, we can do it in seconds. Whereas, again, they have to go in and pull binders and sift through, right? It's crazy how it's done. So we're constantly tracking the compliance across the board for the whole lab. And again, it's just a small niche, but everybody we talked to when I was starting this venture, they all felt like it was a huge, huge pain. So that's why we tackled it. Right? So I want to just, again, that's all you get as far as software is concerned. I'm going to give you a quick overview of where we've been. 2019, we went to beta. So we had spent time, I was a software guy, and so I created the initial prototype and hired the real team to make it actually work, right? And then we launched and went to beta in 3 labs in New York. Okay, so you kind of had to have that to prove that it was going to work. And we got all the kinks worked out, we got everything good to go, and we were high-fiving. And at the end of 2019, we were ready to conquer the world, and we went to market. And we went to go to market at the end of 2019, as you can see there. We got our first customer at the very beginning of 2020. And then what else happened in 2020? We all know it, right? It was COVID years. So it was for the lab.
Bless you.
So for the lab, people assumed we were killing it because, we were selling the labs and why wouldn't you make money? This is what we were really, it's kind of hard to read, but this is what we were really hearing. Hey, we're replacing paper logs. Here's a fight, They're it's not related to COVID. We're not allowed to spend any money on it, right? And that was the response we got from everybody. We're like, we love it, but you don't have to come back to us, right? Those people did eventually sign, by the way. We came back to it. But 2020 was like crickets. We got one sale at the end of 2020 that was really only because we gave them a deferral, right? A payment deferral plan. But what did that do for us as a customer? We had one good multi-lab customer, New Hanover, who was a great test bed, and that really gave us time to give them a lot of attention and a lot of focus. And so they're now a very great, happy referenceable customer for us. And then 2021 came around, and we kind of found a new norm-ish I put on there. And we finally got sales. Like, we're like, oh my gosh, we can actually do this. This is gonna work. And investors came in, believe it or not. Investors wouldn't touch us around here because they knew the real deal. They're like, yeah, nobody in the lab is, unless you're COVID related. So we're like, wow, we can finally do this. And then 2022, I really struggled with how to present this one. So here's what I came up with. In 2022, it's been bonkers. I don't know how else to describe it. I had all these like charts. I was like, I cannot bore these people with all of these like charts, but suffice it to say, it has been amazing. So we finally hired people like Bruce, like sales guys, and started scaling up a bit, and the customers have just flocked to us. And it's also a herd mentality a little bit in the lab world. So a lot of people have come to us, and it's really been fun to see, oh my God, this is actually gonna work. So for a while, we were pretty concerned, but now it's more, the concerns are quite different. It's like, how do I survive on 3 hours of sleep a day? And how do I not fumble the ball with these big accounts while we're so small? So we are definitely scaling and growing, and all of it is because of the amazing team that I have. And that is honestly not just because you're supposed to say stuff like that. It is the truth. So this is just a quick look at our team, the founding partners up top, and they've been around really from day one. Mark on the left was our first sales guy, and he was here around for a while. Then you have Bruce, Uzziah, and we have Nicole and Joanne, our customer success team, and a whole bunch of people offshore for development. So like, we are constantly growing, and we're constantly ringing our sales gong down the hall, and it's a really exciting time for us. So we are. That's really all I have to say, except for we really appreciate all the people, the support from folks in the network of CIE, NC Pioneer, the whole crew. Like, we have really, we got a whole bunch of awards, by the way, in 2020 before we were really even successful, which is ironic. We got the Coastal Entrepreneurs Award, NC Pioneer Venture Challenge, NC Idea Grant, thank God, right? Get us some cash to get us through. But those were our other partners that have really helped us survive. So I'm just going to end on that, because it was just really more of a light update on where we're at.